अवांजी समातुन ताईं रेडियो वॉइस ऑफ सिंध लंडन।
ऐं चवां थो त हिन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट जे नतीजे में जेको कंसेंसस आहे सिंधी बलोच पश्तून क़ौमुनि जे विच में त दे ऑल हैव सफर्ड इनॉर्मसली, सभिनी क़ौमुनि। मिसाल तौरु हिन सॼे पीरियड में जेको पख्तूनख्वा जो इलाइक़ो आहे, जेको इहे पाण फाटा ट्राइबल एरियाज़ ॿियो टियों, देयर हैव बीन hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced. हज़ारनि जी तइदाद में माण्हू मारिया विया। मिसाल तौरु इहो जेको इशू जेको आहे इमिग्रेशन जे नतीजे में जेका मैनेज स्टेट मैनेज जेका छाकाणि जो सॼी दुनिया अॼु जी ॻाल्हि कान्हे का हज़ारनि सालनि खां इंसानी तारीख़ में माण्हुनि पे माइग्रेशन्स कयूं आहिनि, हिकिड़े ग्लोब खां ॿिए ग्लोब ताईं बि हलिया आहिनि। पर जेका स्टेट मैनेज्ड जेका माइग्रेशन आहे, जेका हिकिड़ी पॉलिटिकल पर्पज़ ऐं पॉलिटिकल ऑक्यूपेशन ऐं पॉलिटिकल कोर्शन जे नतीजे में थिए थी, उन जा नतीजा नेगेटिव थियनि था। मिसाल तौरु जेको असीं इमिग्रेशन जो मसइलो फेस था कयूं, उन खां वधीक मसइलो बलोचिस्तान में आहे। हाणे हींअर मिसाल तौरु जेका सूरत हाल आहे, जे दोस्त ॻाल्हि कई त तोरखम वारो बॉर्डर बंदि आहे, चमन वारो बॉर्डर खुलियो पियो आहे। त ख़ुदि उन्हनि बलोच जेके बलोच माण्हू दोस्त आहिनि, उन लाइ इहो तमामु अॼु मुंहिंजी ऐं त उहे बि ईअं ई कंसर्न्ड आहिनि, सीरियसली कंसर्न्ड आहिनि पंहिंजे वतन, पंहिंजी डेमोग्राफी, पंहिंजे रिसोर्स जे हवाले सां। उनजो अहिड़ी नमूने मिसाल तौरु तव्हां पीटीएम जो जेको व्यू पॉइंट ॾिसो त हीअ सॼी जेको अफ़गान कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नतीजे में हुननि जो व्यू पॉइंट आहे त पश्तून क़ौम सॼी हिन में जेको सो एट द रिसीविंग एंड सफ़र कयो आहे। तंहिंजे करे असांजो इलाही पॉइंट्स आहिनि जिन ते असीं पाण में वेही सलाह मसलत करे सघूं था। थिए छा थो त उन सॼे पीरियड में हिकिड़ी ॻाल्हि जेका थी सघे थी, मिसाल तव्हां जॾहिं इहो आर्ग्यूमेंट रखो पठान दोस्तनि जे अॻियां, त उहा ॻाल्हि ॿुधो, यानी असीं ऐं वाकई बि सिंधी माण्हू वाकई बि न असीं रेसिस्ट आहियूं, न असीं इथनिक ईअं उन ॻाल्हि में बिलीव था कयूं, पर हिकिड़ी ॻाल्हि त असीं पंहिंजे वतन ते पंहिंजे राइट टू रूल, पंहिंजे वतन, पंहिंजे रिसोर्सिस, हिन वक़्तु जेका नौजवान, मिसाल तौरु जामी ॻाल्हि खे ॾिसण जो 67% जेके माण्हू जेको आहे सो नौजवान आहे, ठीकु आहे न। अच्छा, उन 67% में वधि में वधि जेका यूथ अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट आहे उहा सिंध में आहे। 40% यूथ धिका थो खाए ऐं लखनि जे तइदाद में जॉब्स वेकेंसी ॿियनि जे हवाले आहिनि। त जॾहिं तव्हां उहा ॻाल्हि कयो हुननि सां सॼी रिसोर्सिस सां, त ॿ शयूं थींदियूं। हिकिड़ा उहे माण्हू हूंदा जेके ख़ासि करे बलोच असां सां हिन सॼी ॻाल्हि में जॾहिं असीं इंटरनेशनली उन्हनि सां ॻाल्हायूं था, त बलोच दोस्त असां सां मुकमिल तौर ते हिन ॻाल्हि सां सहमत आहिनि त हीअ सॼी ॻाल्हि ऐं उन सॼे खे इवन इहो बि चवनि था असांखे गॾिजी हिन सॼे मसइले खणणु खपे ऐं गॾियल का स्ट्रेटेजी इवन इंटरनेशनल लेवल ते बि इहा ॻाल्हि पहुचाइणु खपे। छाकाणि इंटरनेशनली छा आहे त हिकिड़ो जनरली हिकिड़ो डेवलप थियो आहे त बाबा जेका कॉन्फ्लिक्ट थो हले, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नतीजे माण्हू सफ़र कनि था, तंहिंजे करे उनजी सपोर्ट करणु खपे। पर दुनिया में को बि मुल्क ईअं न आहे त बॉर्डर खोले छॾियो ऐं जीअं वणे थी मुल्क हले, ईअं दुनिया में किथे बि कोन थो। त बलोच दोस्त असां सां मुकमिल सहमत आहिनि इन मसइले ते। देयर इज़न्ट टू ओपिनियंस ऑन दैट। पश्तून दोस्तनि सां जॾहिं ॻाल्हि ॿोल्हि थिए थी त पश्तून दोस्त इन प्रिंसिपल मञनि था, पर जॾहिं असां महसूसु, मूंखे ईअं फील थो थिए, दैट्स माय पर्सनल ओपिनियन, त उहे इंटरनली हू फील था कनि त न इहा ॻाल्हि असां पठाननि जे ख़िलाफ़ु आहे। त इहा ॻाल्हि ज़रूरी आहे त असांखे ख़ुदि उन्हनि खे सम्झाइण लाइ ऐं ख़ुदि उन्हनि जे इंट्रस्ट में आहे। छाकाणि जो जेकॾहिं वाकई बि हू पंहिंजे वतन जो पंहिंजी सॼो इहो जेको कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नतीजे में जेको उनजी जेका नुक़सान थो थिए ऐं जेका सफ़र उनखे स्टॉप करणु था चाहिनि, उन शइ खे रोकणु था चाहिनि, त हू इन सॼे जेको इन सॼे मसइले में सिंधी ऐं बलोच माण्हुनि सां बीहनि ऐं ख़ुदि हुननि जो इंट्रस्ट बि आहे। तंहिंजे करे इहा एफर्ट करणु खपे थी, पर उहा एफर्ट जेका आहे सा मोस्टली लैंड बेस्ड हुजे, पंहिंजे धरती तां शुरू थियणु खपे। ऐं उहा वरी बि ॻाल्हि उहा ई थिए थी त सॼे पीरियड में असां जेके पॉलिटिकल फोर्सिस आहिनि सिस्टमेटिकली उन्हनि जे ऑनस्लॉट जे करे उहे जेके कमज़ोर थिया आहिनि। पर उहो जेका ॻाल्हि जामीअ कई त असांखे वरी नए सिरे सां माण्हू वेहंदो आहे, वेही रहंदो आहे, थकी पवंदो आहे, मारियो वेंदो आहे, पर वरी बि उथी बीहंदो आहे। तंहिंजे करे ही वक़्तु आहे ऐं उन में एक्टिव थियणो पवंदो, कमु करण जी ज़रूरत आहे, मिलण जी ज़रूरत आहे। ख़ुदि पहिरियों स्टेज हुजणु खपे त सिंध जूं पार्टियूं पाण में वेहनि ऐं उन में बि इख़्तिलाफ़ थींदा, उहो नेचुरल फिनोमिनन आहे, पर वेहनि, पंहिंजो पहिरीं जनरल हिकिड़ो कंसेंसस ऐं ओपिनियन ठाहिनि ऐं पोइ ॿियनि क़ौमुनि सां बि वेहणु खपे। ऐं आउं सम्झां थो त बलोचनि में त डेफिनेटली, पर वी विल फाइंड फ्रेंड्स among the Pashtun nation as well who will support our view, and that will overall in the support असां सभिनी क़ौमुनि जे बचाव लाइ उहा ॻाल्हि जेका असां सभिनी जे बेनिफिट में थी. The current fall of Kabul is not the first fall of Kabul. Kabul has failed to Taliban in 1996 as well. Although the conflict didn't start from 1996 and didn't end in 1996 and hasn't finished even yet. But it's really very important that to understand the regional impacts, the impacts on Sindh, let me understand what were at least when we look back retrospectively, we can see what have been the impacts of Taliban takeover in 1996. Now, number one, the most important victim of this entire conflict are the Afghan people, because the figures become really very, very difficult and messy business. So there are various figures because there are various methodologies to calculate that. But it is estimated since the conflict started in late 70s, there have been 1.5 million casualties of Afghan people. And 1.5 million people makes 5% of the population of Afghanistan, number one. Number two, the total number of displaced, either internationally who become refugees or internal displacement, it is estimated to be 6 million people, and 6 million people make 20% of population of Afghanistan. Now, out of these 6 million, the registered refugees in Pakistan, Afghan refugees in Pakistan is about 1.4 million. But because there are a lot of unregistered and illegal refugees are that people who migrated, it is estimated that the number of Afghans in Pakistan could be anywhere between 2.5 to 3 million. And again, coming back to Sindh, that it is estimated that anywhere between 700,000 to 1 million Afghan refugees, legal or registered or unregistered. I mean, friends mentioned that they can make cards and domiciles and all that. They are based in Sindh, and most of them in Karachi. Now, the international displacement, the refugees, they make about 3.6 million. And if there are one internationally, so that most came to Pakistan and then to Iran and then to Central Asian regions and then Europe and all over the world, even to South America, Venezuela and places like that. So if we assume that it is about anywhere between 700 to 1,000 internationally displaced refugees, it means Sindh has got 30% of the people who left Afghanistan for the overseas. So Sindh is having roughly between 25 to 30% of Afghan refugees, number one. Number two, we should never forget that the Taliban was an ISI project. They trained them, they brainwashed them, they supported them, they provide them logistic support, the weapons and everything. Now it is clear. There aren't two words. And they helped them to capture Afghanistan, and they have got their own agendas, strategic depth and all that. But not only that, the Pakistani military, I mean, historically, their structure, formation, and formulation is such that for their survival, for their continuity, for their benefit, they want conflicts. And they thrive on conflicts. And they thrive on the conflicts. This has been really very important conflict. And secondly, say, for example, if you look back on Sindh, that of course there have been religious parties, but if you look back, there was one important religious party, and that was Jamaat Islami. There was Jamaat Ulama Pakistan, and Jamaat Ulama Islam was very weak and feeble, but even Jamaat Islami did never win a seat from Sindh, even Karachi, for example. I hardly remember that. And as a result of this Taliban takeover, it's not only Pakistan used this religious extremism to capture Taliban for whatever strategic purposes internationally might be, but they use this religious extremism for their internal purposes as well, and particularly against the national movements. And because these two ideologies are different, and friends, they mentioned that, say, looking at back at Jamaat Islami, who were probably in urban centers, not much. Even when the friends are talking that in the rural areas, even in the rural areas, I remember rural areas of 60s and 70s and 80s, Sindh was quite secular, even in the rural areas, because generally people say that in urban areas, because they interact with the modern society, therefore they are more secular. In the rural areas, because they don't have that opportunity, therefore they are generally conservative. No, it is a unique case where in rural Sindh, people were as secular or even better. I remember the rural areas where they used to be Mahfil, Shad, Bath, and all that. So even the society now, over that period of time, in Pakistan and in Sindh, there are 7-8 religio extremist groups, religio fascist group. They're networks, but number one, you should understand they are all supported and sponsored by Pakistani state, because they believe, because the political mobilization in Pakistan, the largest, most widespread political mobilization was Sindh. To curtail that, they wanted to support the fundamentalism. So all these proxies and religious fundamentalists here in Sindh, they came under the support of Pakistani state as the state policy. For example, there was this famine in Thar. The people of Sindh and various organizations, some of them were denied to go there, but Jamaatul Dawa was allowed to do this so-called charitable work and all that. So all the networks of religious fundamentalists in Sindh are sponsored, and we should understand. And then now, compared to that, you can see there is a social engineering of Sindhi society. Everyone there, you feel the difference, how the people's mindset has changed, how religion is taking up this space. So as a result of this, the previous Taliban, there were a large number of refugees, and they were basically, again, settled in Karachi with the support of the Pakistani state establishment. And very, very sadly, in Sindh, it has been feudal government, because in Pakistan, like in Sindh and anywhere in Pakistan, nobody can come in power without the support of those who really rule the country. And as Khalid said, that the feudals have always been collaborators of the establishment. Therefore, they think that the source of power is not people. Source of power is Pakistani military. And therefore, they have to follow their instructions. And they want to completely colonize. And we have seen taking over resources, taking over lands, creating this bringing outside populations, so that a situation of conflict should continue, should remain there, and there could be, if they want, they could create a situation of civil war, because they can find collaborators in any group, any party, any ethnicity, any nation. Now, coming back to this current situation, so that was the summary, is that as a result of last takeover of Taliban, the religiosity and religious extremism with the state support of the state of Pakistan increased exponentially in Sindh. They settled a lot of, as a state policy, these Afghans and other people, so that the Sindhi people and all that, they should be remain power, and when necessary could be used against them. That is, and then there are a lot of other things that came together with it. Coming to this current situation, the situation has changed. At that point in time, it was the Soviet Union that collapsed, that's gone, that's withered away. China was not in the scene to that extent, very, very minuscule. And now China is emerging, I mean, is the second largest economy. They have very, very openly said their what are their designs globally and particularly in this region, CPAC and all that. And now, over that period of time, 20 years of Taliban, they have come back. And now they are trying, because this is what we say, a media campaign, or media developing their posture as relatively more milder forms and all that. They aren't. This is a systematic way to present them so that, say, for example, against them, there has been a huge campaign in West. And now they cannot say that these are acceptable. But not only that, the campaign of religious extremism that started, that take over the whole globe. Say, for example, look at Africa. There are numerous incidents of religious extremists attacking in say, for example, in Bangladesh, in India, in other parts, in even Europe. There have been a number of incidents in US and other parts. So this was a global phenomenon that triggered this religious extremism that is spread over everywhere. So now this posture that they are trying to create, and that they are more milder, they will be accommodating, I think this is misunderstanding. And Taliban remains the same, and their first tier, second tier, third tier, because it is religion doesn't require logic and understanding and international requirements and historical facts. They don't. So it simply is a blind basically is a blind faith, basically, religion. So they aren't changed. Now, what would happen as a result of this? Number one thing that we can see, there is a conflict. And because the conflicts, the contradictions within the Afghan society, they haven't resolved. Therefore, they can be suppressed. The contradictions and conflict could be suppressed, but cannot be eliminated. So therefore, they will come back again. And again, because the international forces, the strategic interest of a number of powers in this region, because this is said that Jami mentioned that geography is really cruel if you're and likewise resources, because Sindh is fortunate and unfortunate because we have got enormous resources and a very important geostrategic position. That is why we are suffering. That is why we suffered during the British period, because they wanted, that wasn't their designs, but they wanted, because of the capture Kabul, they wanted Sindh and Balochistan to be captured as well. Anyway, so these all contradictions of the strategic interest of the global powers will collide in this system, and we cannot escape from that. Now, this will boost the religious extremism that already has got roots and network in Sindh, that will be further sponsored, and that is in the interest of the state of Pakistan as well. They want to do it. Okay. Because they think, and sadly, so it is at the end of the day, the Sindh is under detrimental threat because of this influx that the friends made demography, and because of this religious extremism to tear apart the fabric of our secular society, and therefore the basis of our national movement. And sadly, People's Party will remain with them. They can do anything, as Khalid said, they can do anything, and for their power. They don't believe in people. They think that only the power source is Pakistani state and Pakistani military, so they can do anything. So at the end of the day, it is the duty. And over that period of time, the Pakistani state had an onslaught on the political movements, and therefore they have taken away the space. They've reduced the space of political movement, of freedom of expression significantly, and therefore it is really a very, very difficult time and for Sindhi people, and we should start preparing from now rather than later, because these threats are coming. We shouldn't wait for them. We should have strategies. We should remobilize our people with very, very, in a wise way, in a considerate way, in a caring way, and we have to do it. And in the past, we have, basically Sindhi people have defeated many things, and we have been defeated at many occasions as well. It's not that we haven't got defeated. there are defeats in on our side as well. But this is one of the most determining battle for Sindh and Sindhi people and their survival and their right to rule is happening now. And therefore, it's important for all the people to sit together, to forget about these small egos and small differences. It is a matter of survival of all. Either we will go through it, I will drown, and hopefully we will go through it and we'll survive. And thank you very much.
Sindh muhiji amma suhat tuhi matha cha likhi cha likha cha likhi cha likha Sindh muhiji amma
दुनिया जा सिंधियो हिक मुठ थी सिंध बचायो
Sindh muhiji amma suhat tuhi matha cha likhi
सिंध जो क़ौमी आवाज़ रेडियो वॉइस ऑफ सिंध लंडन। रेडियो वॉइस ऑफ सिंध लंडन पंहिंजी नशरियात में सिंध जी सियासत, समाज, इक़्तिसादियात, तारीख़, क़ौमी उमंगुनि ऐं इख़्लाक़ियात मुतलिक़ सिंध जी हक़ीक़ी तर्जुमानी कंदे प्रोग्रामनि खे असराइतो बणाइण लाइ सिंध जे घण घुरनि ऐं धरतीअ सां प्यार कंदड़ अदीबनि, दानिशवरनि, सहाफ़ियुनि, उस्तादनि, वकीलनि ऐं हर तबिके जे मानवारनि सजणनि खे सिंध में शऊरी इनक़लाब लाइ सहकार जो सॾु ॾियूं था। अचो त गॾिजी सूफ़ियुनि ऐं संतनि वारी सिंध जो ओज हिकु मुठ थी वरी वापसि आणण वारे सफ़र जा साथारी बणिजऊं। हिकु नए सुबुह जी शुरूआत जो पड़ाॾो घर घर ॻोठ ॻोठ ऐं शहर शहर ताईं पहुचायो। शाल सिंध आबाद ऐं ख़ुशहाल थिए, सिंधी माण्हू सुखियो ऐं सताबो थिए।